Today, we're diving into an idea from the book Tantra's Embrace. And it's a big one, that intimacy can be more than just a physical act, that it can actually be a profound spiritual journey. So let's unpack what that really means. So let's just start with this question, because it's at the heart of everything we're going to talk about. What if that deep connection we feel with another person, what if it's more than just physical chemistry? What if it's a doorway to something much, much bigger? Before we get too far into the spiritual side of things, let's ground ourselves in the science. Because at its most basic level, that powerful feeling of connection we get, it's literally a neurochemical symphony playing out inside our brains. So let's start right there with the science of connection. We're going to take a look at the powerful biology and psychology that actually forge those incredible bonds between us. Think of it like this. Our brains are mixing up this potent bonding cocktail. First, you get a hit of dopamine. That's the reward chemical that makes it feel so good and makes you want more. Then there's oxytocin, the famous cuddle hormone, which is all about building trust and attachment. For men, vasopressin is a key ingredient for long-term bonding. And finally, prolactin comes in to create that feeling of calm and relaxation. Altogether, these chemicals literally hardwire us to connect with each other. But here's where things start to get really interesting. That whole neurochemical rush, it's just one layer of the experience. The source material we're looking at describes it as a powerful, energetic exchange, mutually healing and elevating. And that word, energetic, is our cue to pivot from pure biology to something much deeper. So let's go there. Let's explore that spiritual dimension. This is where we start to reframe intimacy, not just as a physical act, but as a secret ritual, a true merging of souls. So what does that really look like? Well, it's about seeing this connection as a tiny reflection of the entire cosmos, divine forces coming together. It's about consciously sharing your life force energy with another person. It's about creating a bond so deep it goes way beyond the physical body. And for some, it's even a way to touch a higher state of consciousness, where the self, the ego, just dissolves into this incredible feeling of oneness. Now, a huge piece of this energetic puzzle is the concept of Kundalini. It's often described as this incredibly powerful, dormant spiritual energy, almost like a coiled serpent, just waiting at the base of your spine. And many, many spiritual practices are designed specifically to awaken this potent life force and help it rise, with the ultimate goal being spiritual enlightenment. Okay, so that sounds pretty profound, but how do you actually do that? Well, this brings us right to the path of Tantra, which is a system designed specifically to weave together the spiritual and the physical parts of our lives. Let's start with the word itself. In Sanskrit, Tantra literally means to weave. And this is so important to understand, especially in the West. This is not just about sex. That's a huge misconception. Tantra is a complete spiritual system that embraces all of human experience, our bodies, our emotions, our senses, and sees them as sacred pathways to something divine. And right at the very heart of Tantric philosophy, you'll find this beautiful, dynamic dance between two universal energies, what we call the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Okay, so the divine masculine, also known as Shiva, represents the energy of pure consciousness, stillness, presence. Think of it as the sturdy riverbed, the anchor. It provides the container. On the other side, you have the divine feminine, or Shakti, and that is pure energy, flow, creativity, life force itself. She is the dynamic river that flows and expands within that container. And here's the crucial part. Everyone, regardless of gender, has both of these energies inside them. The goal of Tantra is to bring them into a beautiful, harmonious union. All right, so the theory is beautiful, right? But how does it all translate into actual practice? Let's take a look at some of the techniques that are used to cultivate this incredibly deep connection. You've probably seen this image before, even if you didn't know what it was called. This is the Yab-Yum position. The name itself comes from Tibetan and translates to father-mother, which is perfect because it physically represents the union of two core principles: wisdom, which is seen as the female principle, and compassion, the male principle. And you can see how this posture perfectly mirrors that whole container and energy idea we just talked about. The partner embodying the masculine principle provides a still, stable, meditative base. The partner embodying the feminine principle sits on their lap, free to move and flow. The whole thing is designed for incredible intimacy, for deep eye contact, and for aligning the body's energy centers, which you might know as the chakras. But honestly, and this is probably the most important thing to take away from all of this, any specific physical position is secondary. The real magic, the thing that transforms the experience, happens with the internal techniques. Things like soul gazing, which is just maintaining deep, unwavering eye contact, and breath synchronization, where you and your partner actually start to breathe together as one. These simple practices are what create that shared rhythm and that unbelievable sense of oneness. So when you put it all together, it leaves us with one final, pretty profound thought to consider. By weaving together the physical, the emotional, and the energetic, could our deepest, most intimate human connections actually be a genuine path to spiritual enlightenment? It's a powerful idea to sit with.